Hi, this is Shariananda, also known as S. Diane Adams, Beauregard Adams in some cases. I wanted to share with you this day because this is the 25th year since the time that I was struck by lightning in a Las Vegas hotel in 2001. And it was on this exact day, July the 3rd, that it happened. I wanted to tell you a little bit about that day and all of the things that went into it, but it will take a really long time. And the thing that I want to talk to you mostly about is what I learned from the event of the lightning strike that I suffered and where I've come from and and who I am at this time. But I might not be telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth because, in some instances, now that I'm 80 years old, and that happened when I was 61, well, I'm here to tell you that it's a little foggy sometimes. I have lapses of memory for things, events, and dates, but gratefully, I'm able to gather myself and tease myself a little bit about the process of aging. But I think what it is I'm trying to say is before I get any further down the track, maybe I should just pause here as I've done to talk to you about things, especially where I am since the lightning injury of July 2001. Let's just start kind of at the beginning. At the beginning of this, I was at that time living in Cupertino, and I was going to be moving to Stockton, California, to set up a new household. And so that's is essentially the context for my background from where I was coming from. I was going to uh, a a casino visit in Las Vegas with my spiritual group of the time, Eckankar. And it was supposed to be a spiritual conference that they were holding. So it had conferences and it had performances and it had talks. And they were spaced out so that in between doing some of the workshops, and I myself had a workshop there, uh, I decided to go and gamble a little bit. I love those one arm jacks, the machines. Mm, Anyway, yeah, the I'm having one of those moments that everybody talks about so frequently, but I like to play the coin machines, and I'm pretty lucky on them too. I can usually feel when I'm going to get a hit, and I don't know if God likes it or not, but it's one of the joys of being on planet Earth. So that was what I was doing. I was with lots of friends who were a part of this group, and they were scattered about the hotel here and there in their rooms at different other kinds of gambling concerns. And we got there in the early evening, somewhere around 6 or 7 o'clock, having driven from San Jose up to Las Vegas. I wasn't driving. I was with other friends who had cars. And then what happened was I went down to the casino and I was playing quarters as people do. And I figured I had this little mantra I had decided on. And the mantra was maybe lightning could strike. And I had gotten that little phrase from Anthony Hopkins in uh, in one of his movies where he was talking to his daughter. I think it's Meet Joe Black, and the daughter is wanting to marry, or at least is interested in getting a real good match for herself. And her father was recommending a type a fellow for her. And she says she didn't know. And he said, well, maybe lightning could strike. And it just took me as a wonderful phrase to give, a gift of thought to give to one's daughter. And I felt like she'll be fine. Her dad says, extraordinary things can happen. And that's what that phrase meant to me all of a sudden, that something extraordinary could happen. Well, that's exactly what did happen. I was down to the casino, pulling the arm of the machine, and and winning, I might say. And then I gathered my things and went back up to the room. And when I came into the room, I noticed that it was the window was open and the blinds, which were metal, were turned open as well. So I thought I'd go over and turn them back. The thing was, the moment I put my hands on the rod that turned the blinders open and closed, this booming bolt of thunder hit the. Oh, it was a moment. I can remember it now. But anyway, I hit the hotel itself, and not only a booming crash of thunder, but a extraordinary lightning bolt hit the window too, and it blew me backwards across the room, or I jumped in the air backwards in the room. It scared me beyond belief. I can't tell you how fast my heart was beating and how extraordinarily frightened I was. And I fell back on the bed wide open, and then I heard a voice. The voice said, lie still. Nobody else was in the room but me. I was in that hotel room by myself. And I didn't disobey because I don't hear voices often. And when they deign to just suddenly speak to me, when all the days of my life I walk around without anybody speaking directly so I can hear it literally, hear it inside my ears. So I lay still. My heart was beating at a tremendous pace, and I didn't dare make a move. So I laid there a long time. I don't know if fell asleep or what happened. But what did happen eventually is I got up when I felt my heart had calmed down enough. I went in the restroom and washed my face, and I looked at my eyes to see if I could see what had happened because it was such a blinding, stunning movement. It's like, the chariots of God arrived on the plains of Egypt, and I was there. The whole idea, however, was for me to just see if I was all right. So I thought I was all right. I don't know if I was thinking straight. I have this way of being where when something extraordinary, an earthquake, a sudden rainstorm, a noise with the garbage man in the rear of the house emptying the trash things more loudly than usual. Anything like that, I just take it in stride, like it's supposed to be there, as if it has nothing to do with me and nothing really that it's doing in the world that I need to be concerned about. So that is the attitude I had. It was like, okay, I seem to be all right. My eyes were stinging, and so then I went out in the hall and I realized that I was off balance. I couldn't walk in a straight line and I couldn't walk without holding on. Did this distress me? Was I concerned? No, I just seemed to move right on through it. So I'm not sure sometimes, even now, if I am my body and my body is me. Sometimes I think I have a whole nother way of living inside of me than I do expressing outside of me. And that might be the truth for some others. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to make this tape today, because many of us don't get to share with anybody who's had a similar experience. And I did on YouTube mention when there was a kind of advertisement or a small short about Earth's electrical storms and how it hits trees and cows and pigs and anything else that's standing out in a severe electrical storm. So I want to be able to share this because I said so little about it in any real public forums, but I did talk about it with doctors and of course with various advisors and the lawyers and the members of a group that I found after I finally got home and got settled somewhat, a group called the Lightning Strike and Electrical Shock Survivors. So there are a lot of people who have been struck by lightning, and some of us. In part, where we just had a flash over. We were standing somewhere and the lightning struck a tree nearby, and we were standing there when the flash happened. That can be as serious as getting a direct hit, and that was the case for me, I think. I'm not altogether sure, but I do know that I went to report it at the desk, but everybody in the hotel was in distress because all of the lights had gone out with this strike. And there were people trying to find out if anybody else had been hurt. So I was able to let someone know that I'd been hurt, and they got me to the hospital. At the hospital, they were a little un unkind. I won't say they were viciously not concerned. It was just that it was as if since I was in Las Vegas that it was might be some kind of scam. I'm pretending that I got struck by lightning. I wasn't pretending worth a damn. I was not in my body. I was just trying to follow as closely as I could whatever protocols they had at the hospital for this kind of injury. So I reported it all, and they said, "Well, we can't do anything for you here except to have you take some aspirin. You need to rest yourself." And then they just said, see your doctor." And so that was what I did. But once I left there the next morning, and my friends brought me home in their car on the back seat, I was so, by this time, really feeling the pain, and it was different than what you might imagine. I was feeling I couldn't touch anything electrical. The lights that I would try to turn on would flash off again, and I was very hot, and I was having every 15 minutes or so, I was having this rapid heartbeat. I was very sensitive to light and very sensitive to sound. I couldn't stand the lights in the hallways or the lights once I got home, even in my house. It was one of those summer months, as you know, July is. It was too, it was too warm to be moving around, and I was kind of clutching onto the walls, leaning and not able to really see clearly. My eyes were blurry and stinging, and I felt like I was not all there. When I got home, I got to see a doctor. I had just bought a house in Stockton, and I was planning on opening a kind of social work daycare uh, for kids who needed a place to be when parents had broken up or they were under the care of the social workers. Uh, but I did wasn't not living with anyone. I had a not sure if I had my little doggy yet. I think I got him a little later, but I had a little doggy. But other than that, I had no one else. But this is what I want to say about having learned something, because I was so disconnected from my body and my thoughts. I was acting normal under an extremely irregular condition, but I had to ask for help, and that help had to come, and there was a lady next door. I had a neighbor who had a house, and she had a house full of children. And I went over and told her I needed to get to the doctor, and I couldn't drive myself. I didn't have good control of my body. I was, not being able to face the light of day. The light of day on my skin felt like it was an open flame, and I was, and I was a little. My muscles were a little. When I say little, I really don't mean it. It's a phrase, but the idea was I could feel that my muscles had been affected, and I wasn't able to just walk straight and with my usual bebop hip uh, self, enjoying myself walking down the street. Well, anyway, the lady was named Mrs. Hayes, and she said, "I'll take you to the doctor and wait on you and everything." It was like it was like a moment of grace. So that was when I knew that God was in the mix. That for whatever reason I had been struck by lightning, or had this just tremendous powerful upset and thrust. I'd say that word. That's a good word. Thrust in my life. And after she took me to the doctor, they lined me up for a lot of tests. Some having to do with the electricity in my body. Some having to do with my heart. I had to do this heart test that they put a little isotope inside of a little tube, and then they give you a shot, and it puts it in your bloodstream. Then they follow the track of the thing on the screen. So they determined that I'd had a cardiac arrest, that it was an did they call it in I can't think of the name, and I did make a note of it, so you'll have to find out what it's called. It's called an in. It'll come to me. I won't do any more on that. So from that day forward, I was just in a cycle of care. I had to go to all kinds of doctors and people to try to find out to get more treatment. Some of them were chiropractors, some of them were massage people, some of them were physical therapists, some of them were I don't know if they call them electrologists. I don't know what they are, but the people who work with electrical shock, so you move your hands. So as a result, where I am today, before I go any further, I still have electrical problems with my arms and legs, and sometimes my back. I also lost some of my hearing in my right ear. And also, I'm still extremely sensitive to light and to sunlight. That wasn't the case before. Beforehand, I used to be able to stand a lot of heat and be on the beach for hours, all getting brown like I needed brown. Like I needed brown, but it was good. But because I was in the house and had moved so far away from friends, and most of my family is back east. Now I was living in Stockton. My family, when I say back east, is in Chicago and places like Arkansas and Alabama and Indiana, other places. So I was totally alone, and I was getting mad with God. I pray and I meditate and I read the Bible and I talk to God all day long. I'm a little whack like that. I talk to God and I talk to things. Everything lives, and that's what I've always kind of known for myself. So there I was, feeling pretty crippled because I couldn't get my life to work, like it wasn't as it is today, where you can send out for somebody to come and bring you a box of food so you can cook. I wasn't up to that. I had to just make do with whatever I happen to have. And since I seem to be a multiple personality, I have all these different needs to meet whenever I eat. So I had already stocked up a lot of food um, and goods so that I would be able to eat without a lot of fuss. From time to time, that neighbor I told you about brought over food. And eventually, I got one of my dear cousins who lives in Ohio to come and be with me for a while, that was a thing. But I was not happy with God, and I was feeling like I had done either something wrong or I needed to change my life radically, because you don't get struck by lightning every day, and you don't get struck by lightning every day and live. So I definitely was a little overcome, and overthinking everything that I ever knew symbolically about lightning strikes. So here's essentially what happened after that. I did a number of treatments, and I'm glad to just say that I have come through all of those treatments. This is like 25 years ago. Um, but I've come through all those treatments, and I feel stronger for them, and I start to understand, and perhaps maybe I shouldn't say start, I should say that I do understand that there was purpose in the strike, and in my having to learn to be sacred with sacred things. You can't go in a casino at a conference, a spiritual conference, that where people are worshiping and you're a part of that worship group, and go gambling in the casinos, pulling the lever of the one-armed jack, saying maybe lightning could strike, maybe lightning could strike, because you can call that mantra into being and the thing into materialization. And I found that my voice is not only a commanding voice, but it's a voice that can make things manifest, and hence some of the healing energy that I now have. Speaking of that, one of the things that's happened by and large is I I can I hear new I hear voices more than I ever heard them before. That one that was present at the site of the strike, I don't know who that was or if it was male or female. It was just clear, and it was there. And it's not the only time that I've had an a voice to save me at a moment. Go turn and go the other way. Don't go this way. So I have walking with me at any given time countless numbers of guardians, possibly angels, spirit guides, or even deceased relatives who look after me, because there's no good reason in the world I shouldn't have been dead. The other thing I've learned is to respect God more, because I used to, I just say funny things like, God, are you up there? Just silliness, because I feel that comfortable with my belief. But sometimes, you have to stop and take stock and look at the spiritual significance of your own life as you say you're living it. And so I found that not everybody came rushing to my rescue. I was the one who left the track of family and home. I'm the one who does not have a lot of children and or placement for me to be in the family as something more than, say, an aunt or a cousin. I'm not anybody's mother. And for my part, I've been a rambler and a wanderer and a sojourner. This person who wanted to spend a lot of time learning who God was and what this whole business of being alive is about. What is it about in the end? So that's why I pray a lot, I meditate a lot, and I don't know if any of those things matter sometimes, but they do give you solace and peace, and a focus, at least something that cannot that cannot be seen. It can be felt and it can be pronounced. And for my life, every single event, some of them as large as this lightning strike event, have been just the thing to put me back on track and keep me going toward where I am. So, for those of you who know, I have changed my name several times, but I finally came into Shariananda, and it came as a result of having the lightning strike injury. I think I told you everything I need to tell you about it. I guess I should say that I live with PTSD when there's a lightning storm, and we had one 2 nights ago, my beloved and I. I was ready to get under the bed. And I don't anticipate that I'm going to be struck by lightning again, but at the same time, like an animal, frightened of strangers or a sudden noise or something bigger than they are, I duck. So I I find that I still jump when there's a flash of light of any kind. If somebody passed by with a flashlight or turn on their car headlights and I happen to be standing there, this is a reminder. It's just a reminder that I'm taken care of. So I don't actually worry about getting killed by or hit by lightning again. But I do know lightning can strike twice. I stop and say this. On the night that I finally got home back from Las Vegas and got in my bed, a lightning bolt came through the side sliding door window across my bed and hit my phone. So it was like whatever the message was, which I believe to be that I'm anointed and that that I am to know once and for sure that I'm being set apart. And I was for the longest because I had a lot of work to do to get my body working again. I couldn't work as I had, but I still did part-time work as I could because I was single and I did not have a lot of great income. I had what I needed to keep going. So I was glad that God in the end showed me his mercy, his truth, and the things that are said to us that endure forever. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? And those things are the things I say to myself. Recently, I put up a response to somebody talking about a lightning strike, and people were um, sending back comments, and I put up. I said I was struck by lightning, and then it made several other people jump in and have their little say. So like, how are you then? What happened? You should have been dead. All those kind of miscellaneous comments. But It made me know that I probably needed to speak to it. So here I am, in fact, speaking to it. Um, if there is something I have not said other than Happy 4th of July for tomorrow's date, today is the 3rd, and I want to say that I have stepped back from my writing and from my definitions of myself as Diane or Shariananda or what other creature I might have imagined myself to be, so that I could find center. And I will say that by and large, the center that I have is rests with something I said in Becoming Shariananda, an essay, and that is the love of my life centers my life for me. I haven't had the kind of love and attention that I needed in my life until this person came along during and after. This is like 12 years after the 2001 injury. So I'm I'm just thanking and praising God at this very moment for the idea that I was set aside, and the isolation and healing all were a part of a program to prepare me for this time that we are entering. And it is a time for all of us to take stock of our own lives and what they mean to us and what they mean to others. I've I feel like I've done as much as I can do with my devotion to God, but I want to be now at least known for speaking at least the parts of my life that might help others. And if this has been any help to you, then I will be very happy to hear from you, your feedback, and I will write you directly myself if you should decide to correspond through any chat or commentary. So have a good fourth. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble and as much as I can be myself. And take care of yourselves and let the force and the divine one guide you. Peace and the force be with you. Live long and prosper.